Self-handicapping is any action, choice, or decision that increases your opportunity to blame failure on external circumstances, while still being able to take credit if you succeed. You set a goal for yourself, a real one, something you really think you actually want. And then slowly but surely, in ways you mightn't even notice, you start getting in the way of it yourself. You start leaving things to last minute. You start making excuses. You start creating problems that were not there before. You pick a fight. You stop showing up. You do everything you possibly can except the thing. And then afterwards, you tell yourself the same old story. I'm lazy. I'm not motivated enough. I didn't really want it anyway. I'm my own worst enemy. I don't know why I do these things to myself. But here's what that story misses entirely. It's a protection strategy, but I'm going to help you understand what it's actually trying to protect you from. And once you see it like this, the whole story starts to look completely different. My name is John. I'm studying psychotherapy and I love all this stuff. We're going to get into 3 specific concepts today: fear of success, self-handicapping theory, and imposter syndrome. Now, they all might sound completely different, but I promise you they're not. They're all very related. They're basically 3 separate manifestations of the same underlying problem, and they're all running through your head at the same time. And I promise by the end of this, you're going to recognize at least one of them inside you. This stuff is fascinating. The most common explanation for self-sabotage is usually one of 2 things. The first is willpower. Oh, you don't want it enough. If you wanted it enough, you'd show up. You wouldn't give up, you'd try harder. You'd just stop getting in your own way. And the implication here being it's a motivation problem, a discipline problem. With more effort, you can succeed, more commitment. And the second explanation is it's a fear of failure. You're scared it won't work. So you unconsciously create conditions where it can't be really tested. That way, if it fails, it wasn't really a fair attempt, so the failure doesn't count. And look, the fear of failure explanation is very much closer to the truth, but it's still incomplete. It doesn't give you the full story. Because here's the thing that most explanations of self-sabotage miss. It's not always a fear of failure that drives it. Sometimes, and this is the part that's going to sound counterintuitive, but stick with me, sometimes what drives it is a fear of success. In 1978, 2 psychologists, Stephen Berglas and Edward Jones, published a paper introducing a concept called self-handicapping. And their definition is precise and definitely worth paying attention to. Self-handicapping is any action or choice that enhances your opportunity to blame failure on external circumstances, while still being able to take credit if you succeed. Now hear that back slowly. So, you create an obstacle. If you fail, the obstacle is why. Your ability is still intact. If you succeed anyway, despite the obstacle, even better, because you succeeded under difficult conditions. And the genius of it, because it is fairly genius, is either way, your self-image is protected. Yay. You see, you're not procrastinating because you're lazy. You're procrastinating because your brain learned it's easier to not fully try than to fully try and potentially learn actually what you're capable of, or learn that you've failed. And that's a completely different problem to willpower. And then there's the fear of success piece, which does sound ridiculous until you understand the basis of it. Martina Horner, a psychologist at Harvard, published a paper on the fear of success in 1978, finding that for certain people, it's the success itself that carries the threat. not because they don't want to succeed, but they're afraid of what success might mean, the expectations it will create, or maybe the increased visibility, or potentially the falling from an even more elevated or higher position in life, the change in relationships, or maybe the change in identity. And when you understand this, suddenly a lot of behaviors that look like laziness come out as something completely different. So let me show you what this loop actually looks like. I am definitely a visual learner, so having things like this really helped me understand something. It starts here with a goal. Do you want to go, baby? Boop. Okay, so this is our goal. It's something you actually want. It's considered a high goal, a change of career, or maybe like a creative project that you're pursuing, or something that you deeply actually want. The goal is actually real, okay? But alongside that goal comes what? A threat, okay? Now, the threat is encompassed of, let's say, fear of success or fear of failure or imposter syndrome. But the threat is there, and the threat is as real as the goal. So once we have the threat in our minds, this is when your brain starts to do that self-handicapping thing. So the threat is, what if I try and fail? Or what if I realize that I'm not good enough and I don't succeed? Or what if I thought I was better than I am? And your brain's answer to those threat signals is self-handicapping. You start to leave it too late. You don't try your hardest. You start making up excuses, the things we talked about earlier. Basically, self-sabotage. You are protecting image. So you're protecting your image. So if you succeed, great, you succeeded under difficult conditions. But if you fail, you can blame it on the obstacles. So either way, your image is protected. And then because of this, we've no clean data. Because you don't know what it's like if you actually tried. You don't have clear data about what happened because of the obstacles you created. And then the important part of this is this piece. Because over time, your confidence doesn't grow because you never let yourself be fully tested. And because your confidence doesn't grow, it means the self-handicapping gets stronger and the loop tightens. And you keep going round and round and round, not fully understanding what you're actually capable of. And the loop is complete. There's one more piece I want to add to this, and it's what ties everything together. Clance and Imes, our final two researchers, who also actually published in 1978, described imposter syndrome as the persistent feeling or belief that your success is undeserved. Nearly like you've gotten away with something, or that eventually people are going to figure out that you're not as capable as they think. And here's how that connects everything we've just talked about. If you have imposter syndrome, if some part of you actually believes that your success is undeserved, then succeeding won't be more reassuring because succeeding will be threatening, because now there's more to lose. More people to disappoint when the truth actually comes out, or a higher distance to fall. So your brain sabotages, not to fail, but to stay at a level that's manageable or familiar or safe. And this is why highly capable people, often the most capable people, are frequently the ones who self-sabotage the most. Because the more they've achieved, the more there is then to protect. And the more there is to protect, the stronger the self-sabotage. So what can actually help, or what changes this? Three things. The first is recognizing the protection strategy for what it is. When you notice yourself procrastinating or creating obstacles or pulling back, instead of telling yourself you're lazy,
Ask, what am I protecting right now? What's the actual threat my brain is responding to? Is it failure? Is it success? Is it being seen? Just naming the protection strategy interrupts it slightly and makes it conscious instead of automatic. And the second is separating your identity from your results. Self-handicapping happens when your self-image is riding on the outcome, when failing at the thing means something is wrong with you. The antidote isn't positive thinking. It's genuinely decoupling your worth from your performance, which is harder than it sounds to do, but it's the actual workaround. And the third thing, and this is probably the most practical, is letting your true self be tested in small doses. Not throwing yourself onto the biggest version of the thing and hoping it works, but finding the smallest possible version of the goal that actually tests your capability and doing that. That's getting clean feedback, real data, building actual evidence of what you can do. Because the loop is maintained by never finding out. The only thing that will break that properly is finding out in manageable increments that you can actually do this. And that isn't a quick fix, but it's the real fix. Self-sabotage isn't self-destruction. It's protection. Your brain found a way to want things without fully risking them, to stay ambitious without fully being tested. It does make sense, but it's just costing you more than it's saving you. And the first step isn't working harder or wanting it more. It's understanding what you're actually protecting and asking, is it still worth protecting? Probably not. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. There's lots more content like this on the way.